Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico with the Creativity Cave, and welcome to a really cute video that I've got for you. I've got two cards, totally different, but I think you're really going to love them. I've got a really fun, easy, adorable, sweet card featuring the Dino Days stamp set, which is new this year, and I love it. And then I also have a gorgeous Thinking of You card featuring the Lily Pad Lake stamp set, which... oh, here it is. I was going to say, which I have misplaced. Here we go. So here's the Lily Pad Lake. All right, so let me get started and show you how I put these two together. We'll start with a quick, easy one. So I am going to start with a card base that is a half sheet of lovely lipstick cardstock. I then embossed a 4x5 1/4 inch panel with the subtle embossing folder. This is one of my absolute favorite embossing folders because it's just so cute. And, well, maybe cute isn't the right word, but it's just wonderful because it just adds a little bit of texture to your card, which is obviously just a little subtle texture. Like, they totally named it right. Okay, so I've got that. I also cut a 2" by 5" strip of printed paper, and I'm going to punch this with my triple banner punch. And I love this because the banner fits, I didn't have to turn my paper over, but the banner fits the 2" strip perfectly. So there we go. And I always like to curl my flag ends just a little. All right, so I'll go ahead and I knocked over my glue. I'll go ahead and adhere this to my card, lining up with that textured paper and just off to the side a little bit, like so. Okay, we'll set that aside for a moment, and we're going to do a little stamping. I'm going to grab my scrap paper here to protect my work surface, and I am going to stamp this with lovely lipstick, the coordinating ink color. So I've got my big dinosaur. If you grew up in the 80s, it's a brontosaurus. If you grew up in the 90s or 2000s, it's a brachiosaurus. But there we go. It's like Dino from the Flintstones. That would also be somebody who grew up in the 80s. All right. Not that I know anything about that. Okay, I'm going to take some Pretty Peacock ink, which coordinates with the colors in our printed paper, and then just add the Thanks for Being a Friendosaurus. Now, I know this is totally a kid-themed, stamp set, but honestly, I totally am sending this card to my friends. I think they'll love it. And who doesn't need to be a kid once in a while, right? Okay, so I'm going to take my little elements that coordinate with this and add a little leaf right here just to decorate it a little bit. I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back of this and then pop it up on my card. And tie a little bow. So I love that all these products coordinate. We have a stamp set, we have framelits that coordinate, we have the little enamel elements or shapes that coordinate, and then of course the printed paper that coordinates. That's my favorite part about Stampin' Up. And of course all of these can be found on my website, and I'll link all the supplies in the description of the video below, and it will also be on my blog, and you can see photos of everything there too. Now, I also am going to be doing an online class with this bundle for August, and you guys are going to love the projects. They're so fun. So there we go. And of course, this would be a great card for a kid. Like a kid's birthday. You could just add happy birthday on the inside or whatever you want. All right, now let me show you how to create our second card featuring this beautiful background on here. The sunrise, sunset, whatever you want it to be. Okay, so for this one, oh, and you know what? I did forget one thing on my last card. Sorry. real quick. I've got these cute little dots for his tummy. It's even better now, right? Okay. All right. So back to my card here. To create this card, it's actually quite easy. I'm going to start with a heron stamp image. I'm going to stamp that on a scrap of Whisper White here. And then I'm going to color this in with my Stampin' Blends. I've got the Smoky Slate combo pack. And I'm going to start with some of the dark color, and I'll just kind of go over these little feathery lines. And this will serve as my dark spots, and then that line right there. And then a little bit right here. And maybe a little bit kind of right there. Everything else will be with the light. Because I'm kind of covering a wider area, I'm going to color with the bigger tip. I do tend to use the bullet tip, but I'm going to use the brush tip for today, just because this is kind of a little bit more that I'm coloring and not as detailed. Okay, so there we go. And then we'll cut him out in just a second. All right, next, to prepare my background, I'm going to use 2 pieces of cardstock. I've got a 3 3/4 by 5 of Whisper White, and then a 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 Whisper White. And I, as you can see, have die cut the little nested label die out of it. I've just centered it up in there, okay? And what I'm going to do is I've got the 2 pieces. Now this one's just slightly smaller, so I'm going to just arrange them like that so the bottom piece isn't peeking through. I'll set that die in there, and then I'll remove the front piece, okay? Now what I'm going to do with this is take a pencil and just loosely draw lines around. And I do mean loosely. You can see how bad this is going to look here in a second. So I know where I'm working. Okay, next up, I'm going to take the little wave stamp that comes in that Lily Pad Lake stamp set, and just cleaning it. I'm going to use, I've got kind of a cool color combination to make this card. So I've got Blueberry Bushel, Bermuda Bay, Coastal Cabana, So Saffron, Flirty Flamingo, and Rich Razzleberry. Those are the colors I use to create this card. So I'm going to start with my Coastal Cabana and Bermuda Bay. Of course, you guys know it's one of my favorites. And I'm just going to ink this up in Coastal Cabana. And I'm going to stamp about halfway. Okay. Then I'm going to, without re-inking, I'm going to go up about half again. Of the image of the stamp. Okay, so I've just got some waves going here. And then I'm going to take the darker color and I'm going to skip a little bit of space. So I stamped the darker color, then I'll go over that space and stamp the lighter one. So I'm just kind of getting some gradation of color, and then I'll stamp it once more at the bottom there, overlapping just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take a Post-it note and place this, and you know what? I think I went a little high on here, but that's okay. I'm going to place that Post-it note actually down here. So just like a hair length, like literally a hair is just showing, not like a 1/16 of an inch, but less than that. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is start doing some blending. So you've probably seen me use these blending brushes before. I get them on Amazon or at Walmart. They're just oval makeup brushes, okay? And they work amazing for blending. So I'll start with my lightest color, which is So Saffron. And I'm just going to pick up some of that color by rubbing this in a circle. And then I'm going to get rid of the first layer on my scrap paper. And then I'm just going to, in a circular motion, cover this whole space that's left over. And see, this is why we drew the label on there, just so that we can kind of see where the color is going. Okay, so there's my background. It looks beautiful. Next up, I'm going to take and do a little Flirty Flamingo on here. And again, I'll pick up some of my ink. And now some people worry that you're going to use up too much of your ink. As soon as you close that up, the ink kind of refills the pad, so it's fine. I've not found this to be using a tremendous amount of ink, okay? But you do want to get that first layer of ink off, and then I'm going to kind of focus this here in the bottom corner for the halo of the sunset. Okay, so I just added a little bit of pink to that, kind of focusing a little extra color real close to my Post-it. Okay, and again, I'm working in a circular fashion and everything's kind of blending together, which is perfect. Okay, next up, I think I'm going to use some rich raspberry. Now, this is the color we don't want to have a ton of, so we definitely want to get rid of that excess on our scrap paper, and then I'm just going to go real close to the horizon. You can always add more, but you can't take away. Okay, so I'm just going to swirl some color. Be a little patient. Sometimes it takes, some swirling time. And there we go. I'm actually going to add just a touch more of my, there we go, Flirty Flamingo over the top. All right, that looks good to me. I'm going to remove my Post-it and look at that beautiful sunshine. Now we want to fill this in a little bit. So I'm going to take another Post-it, and the reason is because you don't want to smear the color. And just like before, I'm going to put a half of a hair's worth showing of that sunset. So just, you can just barely see it. And this way you don't get that white halo in between. Okay, so then I will do the same thing. This time I will use my Coastal Cabana. And I'm just going to go over this like so. And then I will do Bermuda Bay. Get rid of that. And then I'm going to start from the bottom and kind of work my way up so it's darkest at the bottom. Okay. And here's the big reveal. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Oh, I just love it. Now don't forget, we're going to kind of frame it when we put our piece back over the top. And doesn't that look awesome? All right, next I'm going to stamp my little birds. This is from the stamp set Sailing Home. I'll show you that just in a moment. But there are birds from various stamp sets that we've had over the years that you could use. You could even draw them in, but I just happen to have this stamp set with the birds handy. Okay, now what I want to do is take and pop up my frame that's going to go over the top. So I'm going to flip this over, add some dimensionals. Oh, I have a brand new sheet of dimensionals. There is just nothing better. And I'm getting a little generous with the dimensionals. I don't usually use this many on a single project, but it's all good. Okay, then we'll just line this up, and that's why we did real loose lines, pencil lines on here, so that we would totally cover them up like so. Okay, next I want to get this die cut, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I have die cut my heron, and oh, doesn't it look amazing right here? I'm going to add him to my card popped up. And just to keep him kind of stable, I'm going to put 2 dimensionals on this side and then 1 down here where it's on the frame, because the frame's already popped up, and then this will be kind of in the middle. Like so. Okay. Next, I also, part of this stamp set, there is a frame. And I die cut that along with a little piece of seaweed out of vellum. And I'm just going to glue dot that seaweed, kind of tucking it behind my heron. And then I'm also going to stamp my sentiment. That's from our set in Blueberry Bushel. So there we go. That looks lovely. I did the vellum because I didn't want it to be too in your face. You know what I mean? Okay. So I'll add my sentiment. thinking of you with loving thoughts and prayers. So nice. And I'm just going to set that like so on here, and we'll pop that up as well on one side. Like that. Oh, so pretty. Finally, I'm going to tie a little bit of braided linen trim right around here. And we'll adhere it to our card base. So pretty. And not really hard. Just a couple Post-it notes and some makeup brushes, and you can make a gorgeous sunset. I'll trim these ends, and then I kind of like to just foof the ends to kind of ravel them. That is an official stamping term, in case you weren't sure. And then we'll adhere it to our card base. So I've got Coastal Cabana and a layer of Blueberry Bushel just to pull it all together. And that is our beautiful card. Now, if you would like to make this, you can purchase the supplies through my online store. I would be so grateful for your business. And of course, you will become a VIP rewards member. I've got great perks for my customers, and always send you a fabulous gift with purchase. When you spend $50 in my online store, you'll get a wonderful gift from me. So thank you guys so much for stamping with me today. Let me know which card is your favorite, and I will see you back here soon. Bye.